It's
Right.
about how the draft is going to unfold. So
Definitely. All right. So the big news of the day was, and no surprise here, we kind of talked about this. We talked for several months now that we thought Devontae Wyatt would get the 5th-year option and Quay Walker would not, simply because Quay Walker, being a linebacker, that's grouped in with 34 outside linebackers. So the 34 outside linebackers is going to boost that 5th-year option cap number up, that guarantee cap number way up, as opposed to just a stack backer. So it just doesn't make sense to hit Quay Walker with the 5th-year option. Let's kind of go into it here. So the Green Bay Packers have opted not to exercise the 5th-year option on linebacker Quay Walker's rookie contract, a decision that would have guaranteed the 2022 first-round pick, number 22 overall, $14.75 million for the 26th season. Despite this move, people hear that, Tim, they go, okay, they're not re-signing him. General Manager Brian Gutekunst emphasized that Walker remains integral to the team's long-term plans. All right, integral to the team's long-term plans, expressing interest in negotiating a contract extension to keep the linebacker beyond 2025. Listen, that doesn't mean he's going to break the bank. That doesn't mean he's going to pay him top linebacker dollar. I think they're higher on Quay than I am personally, but I think that they're still going to be looking to get a fairly a fair deal for Quay Walker. I don't think they see Quay as like a top 3 linebacker in the league, Tim, or a top 5 linebacker.
no.
But they do see him as starting quality, whether we agree with it or not.
Oh yeah, I would anticipate like a 3 to 4 year kind of deal getting done or something.
Yeah,
or if that's really 3 or 3 that's really 2.
Right, probably I could see a 3-year that's really 2 with a little bit less guarantee, but the overall number looks fairly decent.
Yep.
And that way they can get out of it if he does not improve, right? But here's just kind of some of the numbers on it. Walker, who has started 43 games and recorded over 100 tackles in each of his 3 seasons, has been a consistent presence, but not fully lived up to the expectations of a top-tier performer. His 2024 season was overshadowed by rookie linebacker Edgerrin Cooper, who outperformed him, raising questions about Walker's value relative to the high cost of his potential 5th-year option. So I wanted to just kind of compare stack backers across the league here, Tim. Again, when you talk about Quay Walker potentially getting a $14.75 5th-year option, right? $14.75 million 5th-year option, that means he would have been the 6th highest paid linebacker in the entire league. He hasn't performed at that level, in my opinion. And I think that's why they're passing on that. Yeah. Roquan Smith right now is averaging $20 million per year. Again, that might not be the cap hit, the guaranteed money. He may never see nothing near that. But the overall contract, average annual value, that's the numbers we're breaking down, because that's the best thing that you can compare to a 5th-year option. It's like, okay, that's your cap hit for that year, whether you want to kick it down the road or, what have you. That's what you're on the hook for that 1 year for. Roquan Smith, $20 million. Fred Warner, $19 million. Tremaine Edmonds, $18 million. Zach Bond, $17 million.
Ooh, Zach Bond cashing in on that Super Bowl money. Wow.
Big time. Jamie Sherwood, $15 million. Nick Bolton, $15 million. And then Patrick Queen, $13.6 million. Terrell Bernard, $10.5 million. Dre Greenlaw, $10.5 million. Ernest Jones, $9.5 million. And Bobby Wagner, $9 million. So you could see why they wouldn't pick up that 5th-year option. You know what I mean? Like I don't see him as the 6th best linebacker in the league, stack back.
No.
As a matter of fact, we're just going off of the average annual value. I would put Edgerrin Cooper definitely top 10, maybe top 5 linebackers with the way he played last year. That's how damn good he was. I don't think people realize it. And he could take a step back. Sophomore slumps are real. That happens every season in the NFL. Yep. Not necessarily every sophomore, but you know what I mean? Every year we're talking about this guy took a step back. So I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a slight step back. But he showed me last year that dude can be a top 3, top 5 stack backer in the league, man.
Absolutely. And I think the fact that, Coop did miss a lot of action early on in his rookie year and then really kind of caught his stride, that middle point of the season, on through the end, that may help him not have that year 2 slump, right? He may be ready to go pick up where he left off and just keep building from there. And I do think the talent that we have, in the linebacker room, again, we talked about, receivers picking each other up with competition, or our corners, iron sharpens iron. Look at our linebackers, man. You got Quay, you got Zay McDuffie in there. Edge Cooper is clearly the front runner in that linebacker room. But the sky's the limit, man. These guys are going to pick each other up, man, for sure this year.
Yeah. And then when you look at the PFF grades here, look, it's not being kind to Quay. And again, I'm not saying it's everything. When I watch the tape with Quay, I see him hesitating. That's his only thing. He's got the physical tools. He can cover vertically as good as any Mike linebacker in the entire league, in my opinion. But he's just so hesitant underneath. If they could coach that out of him, he could be a dominant backer. But that's a very, very important part of playing stack backer in any defense, whether it's a 34 jam front or a 4-3, and you're, just kind of playing a little softer there with a one gap approach. But the decision reflects a broader NFL trend as teams have increasingly declined fifth-year options of off-ball linebackers due to the inflated cost driven by edge rusher salaries. No team has picked up such an option since 2022. Instead, the Packers may pursue a more cost-effective extension for Walker, mirroring their successful approach with quarterback Jordan Love. So his PFF grade 62. In 2022, it was I think it was a 62. Was that a 52? It's kind of hard to see there. I think it was a 62, I believe. And then it dropped to a 58.5, and then last year it dropped to a 57.4. So according to PFF, he's gotten worse every year. Okay. As we come on down here and kind of look at the weekly grades, his best game came against San Francisco. That's the game where we said it seemed to click, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, he follows up with a 68.5, not horrible, 62.2, yeah. But then that game with only 22 snaps there at Seattle is where he hurt his ankle, right? And he only had 22 snaps, had a 44.2. So you see his ceiling was 91.4, and his floor was 35.9, and that was week 3 against Tennessee. So just kind of all over the joint there. And again, there they are. So it was a 52. He jumped to a 60 and then fell back to a 57.5 is how his grades went. And just pointed out some other NFL pro stats there you guys can check out in the article as well. Said, in contrast, the Packers exercised the fifth-year option for defensive tackle Devontae Wyatt, another 2022 first-round pick, securing his services for 2026 at $12.9 million. As the team balances its roster and salary cap, Walker's future with Green Bay will hinge on negotiations for a deal that aligns with his performance and the team's financial strategy. So that's kind of where we've got Quay Walker right now. Any thoughts before we move on, Tim, about Quay? What's the number you would put on him? I'm going to put you on the spot here. There's not a right or wrong answer. I just want to kind of fill you out here. What number, average annual value, do you think that's the most I would give for Quay? You know what I'm saying? Like
Definitely under 10.
Under 10?
Yeah, somewhere in that 8 to 10 range, I guess. But
yeah. For me, if you want to try to work out a 1-year deal to kind of a prove it deal, like, hey, let's try this one more year, you kind of already got that this year too. If they work out an extension and they go in there and go, okay, let's see what we can get on the same page, I think I'm with you. Somewhere between 6 to 9 million will be that range where, like, okay, when you get to 10, that's where I get like, I don't know.
Right. You start scratching your head a little bit. Yeah.
It's just, to me, 10 seems like the most I would go. Looks like the chat. Let's see here. Jonathan says 8.8. That's pretty specific. I like it. If that's what he was referring to.
I like that too, right? 8.8 plus incentives, right?
And that's the other thing, right? Give them something that's closer to that 6 to 7 that I'm talking about. But hey, you can earn 15 million if you go out there and just ball out.
Absolutely,
no problem with that. Drew D says 13 million is the max, is what he would give. He thinks. J. Cole says 10 million. Greg Rice says, give him the damn checkbook. It ain't my money.
I mean, it's true, right? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, we don't care. We don't care what these guys are getting paid specifically, right? We're just looking at it in terms of, the team, right? Cap hit and, things like that, stretching out into the future. But yeah, I mean, they're all playing football for a living. Isn't it great? Life's a beautiful thing, man. Make more money than a lot of people do in their lifetime in, a year or two, just playing this game that we all love. So, we don't want to get too far into the weeds, but I think we're all pretty much in agreement. Like Dead Fish here, 3 years, 24. That's right around there, right?
Yeah.
3 times 8 is 24. Okay.
Yeah, because really what that would be, Tim, if it's 3 year, 24 million, it's really going to be a 2 year, 18 million, something like that.
Right.
Right. So, yeah.
And that's a win-win. That's a win-win for us as fans, and for the Packers, and it's a win for Quay because Quay gets a little bit of the bag, gets to prove himself, has some stability. If it doesn't work out or he falls off a cliff, well, whatever. We're not committed for the long haul, right?
And the other thing you got to take into consideration, it sounds silly, but it's so true, is one of his best friends on the team, Devontae Wyatt. They played at Georgia together. He's going to be around for another year. It's another for Quay to be like, man, I think I just want to stay here, as opposed to let me test him. He goes to
Nas Stackhouse coming up here too, right?
Exactly. So, they played together, did they? I don't know if they did.
I think so. I think it would have been that would have been Stackhouse's freshman or sophomore year.
You're probably right.
Last year, yeah.
If there was no transfer involved, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bullard did. There you go, Drew. That's another pull. He had to have, right?
Javon Bullard, yep.
Javon Bullard had to have played with him. And Brinson, he said, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and now you got
Georgia boys. Watch out for them Georgia boys. They just got to change the color of the G. That's it.
And now you see Goody tapping into Texas a little bit, right? With Matthew Golden and Baron Sorrell. That stuff matters, man.
It does.
Like, we like to look at it just as who's the best player, right? Who are the best players? Like there are these, like we're playing Madden. Who's got the better overall? That's the guy. But these are real human beings, man. And
it's a real thing, man.
Yeah,
remember being a kid going to baseball practice, and you're trying out for baseball, and it's like, oh, there's a couple guys from my school that are at the same tryout. It gives you some comfortability being the new guy and not being alone. There's some real validity to that, I think, for sure, especially at the professional level.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so there's your update on Quay